So we just looked at what was installed on our file system when we unzipped the ADT bundle. We had looked at, among other things, under the SDK directory, there was a Platform Tools directory. And one thing I should note, and this is here on this next page, is that yes, the Platform Tools ends up under the SDK installation, but actually there's different versions of this that come out. So I think we have, or I installed API 18 on this system, and so we have that version installed right now. And you can install other versions of those tools as well. Remember the platform tools, that's what had, for example, the ADB exe inside of it. This is also true of platforms, and this is something we hadn't quite taken a look at yet. Under the SDK, we have a platforms directory, and for each platform that you're supporting or that you want to test against, we can have additional Android directories. In this case, we installed the ADT. It came with Android 18. And if you remember during the setup, we actually added the Android 17 platform as well. All the code examples in this course have been built towards Android 17. Well, within the platform directory, in this case I open up Android 17, a couple things, or actually one main thing I want to point out, and that is a jar file, android.jar. This contains the class files for the libraries, the core libraries. So remember the core libraries contained a subset of the Java library. So here we have, for example, Java util. This is where we would use something like an array list or something like a hash map. But as we said before, it also contains, in addition to some of the Java libraries, the core libraries have some Android-specific stuff in there. So there's a whole set of Android packages that we'll be dealing with as this video course continues. So a very important file there, android.jar. It has class files all zipped up inside of it that represent the libraries that we're going to be interacting with. Well, if you remember from the setup, we use the Sdk Manager to install the version 17 of our platform onto our system. So let me rerun Sdk Manager just to remind you of what we did. The Sdk Manager is at the root level of the bundle when it unzips. And when I execute that, here it comes, we'll bring it over to the forefront so we can see it. It displays for us everything that's installed. So under Tools, we have an Sdk Tools, we've got a Platform Tools, a Build Tools, we've got 3 of those installed. We had installed the ADT that had API 18 built into it, so that SDK platform is installed. But we'd also had chosen to install 17 as well, and so we had you click on the SDK platform and the ARM system image for 17, so it would install that one too. In addition, the support library comes with this automatically. What else do we have down here? It wants us to install the USB driver, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea, especially if we wanted to connect a device up to our machine and use a real device. That wouldn't be a bad one to install in. There's another one that I sometimes put in. Let me see if I can find it on here. Oh, it's not jumping up at me. That's okay. Anyhow, we use the SDK Manager, the Android SDK Manager, to install platform tools. There's the platform tools, and install various platforms to our system. We'll test against platform 17 or API 17, and that's how we chose to install that one. We could have, and this is what I was trying to remember here, we could have also installed things like the samples. That might be interesting to be able to look at some example apps and see some source code for those. That is something that I like to install as well. And feel free to do that on your systems.